3, 2, 1, go!
We are Paul Leonard
And Bryce Graskowski.
and this is 20 Minutes of Fitness.
Take 2.
God, that shirt is bright, dude.
Oh, it doesn't get old the second time either.
No. That is one bright shirt.
So we got halfway into our podcast last time, and we got distracted by things, and we found out that the camera had fallen over. And those of you viewing from YouTube would have been staring at my junk the whole time.
Yeah.
So
There it is.
we fixed it. So now we're starting all over again. So hopefully our
Now they're staring at
got
your piece
better.
of junk behind us.
It's a clunker. So anyway, speaking of that clunker,
Yes.
why are we in the hangar?
Why not? Where else would we be?
It's the only place that rock your aviators.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So today we did a little adventure over to Kauai. Flew over, had none but failures.
Yep. Big
Got-
fail day.
Got over there, forgot my pilot's license, had to struggle to get out. Then we got to the restaurant or to the Midas, drop off the truck, failed safety inspection.
Yep. doing
Had
good.
breakfast.
That's 2.
That part was a win.
Breakfast was good.
But now I'm kind of sluggish because with some pancakes.
Yep.
Minor loss. And
Diet fail.
diet fail. There we go. And then we went back to the yard to check on the 5 pumps that are in the yard there. And 4 of them are not good to go.
That's 1, 2,
4
3,
out of
4.
5. Approximately 4/5.
That's 7 fails.
Then we went back to the airport where I didn't have my pilot's license again.
Yep.
But they did let us in, so I'm going to call that one a win.
That's a win. All right. Let me take that off.
And then we had a very smooth and beautiful flight back here. Actually.
But most important, we didn't crash.
We didn't crash.
Therefore, all the fails,
Dis-
they're all wins.
Despite the fact that Bryce actually flew the airplane for a little bit, we still didn't crash.
Still didn't
Although
crash.
I actually turned the autopilot back on about halfway through him flying and just didn't tell him.
That was that good.
He thought he was on his game. And then I was distracted by all kinds of other things and started to get my iPad out so I could get my flight plans out and everything like that. And then Bryce is kind of looking over at me like, dude, you're supposed to be paying attention too. And I was, but
But it was on autopilot.
it was on autopilot. And everything all worked out just great.
I was just wondering where the gun lever button was so I
yeah.
could start shooting
That's
at
that button on the top.
shooting at the aliens.
Yeah. So, and then we got back here and thought, might as well podcast because we didn't work out this week.
We didn't do one yesterday because I,
Bailed.
due to illness, couldn't come and do the podcast and work out. So
And I
we got it done today.
was excited about that being the case because my legs were so sore from the previous 2
Yeah,
days.
I was in rough shape too.
So I'm actually quite glad to work out today instead of yesterday.
Yeah.
I think my rest did it yesterday.
But it would have been nice to do the boss games.
I do want to do that.
100-pound medicine ball push, whatever,
The bear
in a
crawl
bear crawl,
thing.
whatever that is. If you're out there and you've done that,
Yeah, we're going to try that out.
Yeah, that's an interesting
And-
one.
I mean, actually, we should try that whole workout and
No, we should do
the
that workout.
carries and everything.
Yeah.
So we'll do that.
Absolutely.
And then
Not today though.
we also got to figure out, probably got to do the lifting again.
Yep.
See what we can get for a hang snatch, overhead squat, and a hang power.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Full clean. So next week, that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
Committed.
Good.
Maybe Wednesday.
Good.
In that note, we're talking about putting things off to the future.
Yeah.
So yesterday I got my hair cut, and my barber was like,
Looking nice, buddy.
"Thanks, bud.
Was it for our date today?
Yeah, I'm look good for you." So with my pink shirt. So my barber Smurf, who's an awesome barber, actually. If
Smurf.
anybody needs a barber, I can hook you up with Smurf. He's
There you go.
actually best I've had. But
Sounds like a short haircut.
nope. He's actually a big black guy.
Of course he is.
But anyway, so Smurf was talking about fitness and how he goes to UFC, but how he doesn't really go to UFC because he's just not motivated to go there anymore.
Okay.
Blah, blah, blah. So starting in 2023, he's going to start doing CrossFit.
Nice.
And my answer is, why wait till 2023? It's December 1st.
Yeah.
Today's the day to sign up for a membership.
Just like we said last week about your diet, start now. Start today.
Yeah. So that brought us to what we're going to talk about today briefly because we're already
It's okay.
well into it. Our plan to talk about today, though, is what fitness things people jump into, and more importantly, what diets people jump into. So that way we can plan ahead a little bit for January.
Because most of the time people will plan on, like your barber, I'm planning on joining CrossFit January 1st. Okay, fine if you're going to do that. But most people don't look at it as, oh, I'm going to start this diet January 1st and actually plan for it. Unless they go to a gym that's starting something January. A lot of places will start a challenge January 1st, and they kind of take care of all the legwork. But a lot of people that are like, if you're going to join UFC gym, you're kind of on your own, or let's say a 24-hour fitness. Yes, it's good to do some fitness, but diet is actually more effective. So kind of getting into a game plan on your diet, which actually takes more planning, because you can start January 1st at any gym you want to go to. It doesn't matter. You walk in the door, you're doing it, right? But diet, if you're like January 1st comes and you're like, oh, I'm going to do the whole 30. Well, you have already had to have planned at least for a week to go shopping.
At least a few days, yeah.
Yeah, a few days. Food prep is huge, especially if you're doing something like that. If there's any apps or anything that you're using to help you. But you do want to, and just the ins and outs of the diet to actually identify what you're doing, right? So that's big.
I think on that note, both sides of it, both the fitness side and the nutrition side of it, both of them require planning. And that's, I think, a big step that a lot of people miss, and the reason why a lot of people fail. So like Smurf says, yeah, I think I'm going to do CrossFit starting next month. He hasn't figured out what gym he's going to go to.
Oh, wow.
He hasn't figured out what time of day works for him to go to these CrossFit classes. He hasn't figured out, I'm just making assumptions here. He hasn't figured out when he can actually fit, how many days a week, where he's going to get the extra money from. He hasn't figured out that whole side of it. And then carrying straight into nutrition, he also hasn't figured out where he's like what he's going to do for nutrition, what he's going to do for meal prep,
right?
What challenge he's going to sign up
so
for.
He's planned. His only plan is to do something January 1st, and that's kind of what we're saying.
And I think a lot of people are in that same boat.
Now is a great time to start looking at that stuff. So let's real quick about like what gym I want to join. Okay, visit a few different gym styles if you're not sure what style. If you want to do like a UFC, kickboxing, Pilates, bar, yoga, CrossFit.
Or jiu-jitsu or fighting
stuff any of that.
Awesome too. Like anything that's going to get you busy.
Visit the different types of places over the next few weeks to see what appeals to you. Like, oh, I like what I see they're doing over here. Man, I went to this CrossFit gym. They're all tossing around 315-pound deadlifts. I'm not into that. I'm not into stretching at the yoga place. That way you can at least see the differences and kind of figure out what you want to do. And what that gym looks like at different times of the day.
And what options they have.
Which helps go at the time you're going to work out, like you were saying, isn't what time.
And a guy like Smurf, who's a barber, so his day starts at 9.
Yeah.
And he goes till probably 6 p.m.
So he needs to do mornings.
So he has to do mornings. So he should go this month to multiple options. Maybe something like F45, who I don't necessarily support, might be a better fit for him, though, than a CrossFit gym. Because maybe he doesn't want all the extra attributes of the other parts, right? Or like maybe he should do something like a fighting thing or like something totally unrelated to what he's.
But go visit him now.
But yeah, you don't want to wait till January 1st to make that decision.
And if you don't know what time you're going to do it,
that changes things.
Then you're going to. If you kind of narrow it down, then you could visit that gym at different times to see. Maybe for him, he could go to the 6:30 p.m. class if there is one versus a 6:30 a.m. class.
See how his body does.
See what those two are, and even do it and see which one your body likes. Though you'll generally adapt once you do it for a few weeks. Your body will be like, "Oh, it's time to work out." Like
but that's
I know
only
for
if
myself.
You can make it that 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you're right. I completely agree. I used to work out in the mornings all the time, and then now I work out in the afternoons all the time. And
so that
that's
could be
fine. But
that could be a barrier. Yeah, for success. Where right now, maybe you get home and you do a little something, or you go for a walk or something light after dinner. Maybe that might be the time you have to work out.
Yeah. Or maybe at the end of your being on your feet all day as a barber, like you're not going to want to go to the gym and pump fucking iron.
Right.
Like you're going to want to go home and take a nap.
Yeah, so you might have already some tendencies that you might want to build upon. That's a good idea.
So getting it going in the morning might get you pumped to stand on your feet all day as opposed to the other side of it.
All right, so that takes kind of somewhat takes care of the fitness side. What about the diet side?
So January is a good time. We don't love nutrition challenges. Either of us, we've talked about this before, where it should be a lifestyle
short-term
challenge. But this is kind of the right time for that.
Absolutely.
If you're going to do like a whole 30 to get from A to B and then work on your lifestyle change, January is a good time to do it because a lot of people are doing it and it's kind of exciting and normal time to do it. So my favorite is Whole30.
Yeah.
I like Whole30 because basically it just cuts all the garbage out of your diet. It doesn't restrict you on quantities.
Just processed food.
How much unprocessed food are you going to eat? You're going to get sick of eating.
It's basically a paleo diet.
More or less paleo, but a little stricter, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, there's things that you can eat on paleo that you
Okay.
can't eat on that. And then I actually like the old version of Whole30 where now you can eat white potatoes. And there's like certain things that they've added back in.
Okay.
The older version, it was more strict, which I don't know why I would need to eat white potatoes if I can eat sweet potatoes, for example.
Right. Well, Whole30, so it's kind of paleo-esque. You could do intermittent fasting. Like the longer you fast, the more change. Basically, if you're doing like a challenge, the best way to approach a challenge is I'm going to do this hard, right? Hard for 30 days or whatever maybe it's 6-week challenge or an 8-week challenge. I'm going to go hard during that, knowing that you're going to reintroduce a lot of things into your life after you're done. But definitely have in mind, and this is where I think people really fail when they crush these challenges. They just go back to the way the thing that got them to be the way they were. Realize that you need to hold on to some sort of that change.
And that's another reason why I'm not even trying to support it, but that's another reason why I like Whole30 is you get used to eating more vegetables and more of that stuff. So that at the end of the challenge, you've been eating a salad for dinner every day.
It's easy to keep eating some more vegetables.
It's not so bad compared to if we're going to do like the Warrior Diet Challenge, which is a great diet challenge.
Yep.
And that's a good way to drop weight quickly. Yeah. If you only eat for 4 hours a day, that's what you were just
That's what I'm doing
right?
now,
right now.
Till today.
Yeah, I broke that for you by taking you for breakfast and
pancakes.
But if you're doing 4 hours a day and you're eating from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m., well, as soon as you're done that, you're an exception to that. But a lot of people would finish that Warrior Challenge and be like, all right, let's go to Pizza Hut.
Yeah, absolutely. They go right,
And then all of a sudden, they get everything they lost back and some. That was always the flaw to Keone does his Transform thing, I imagine, still
it's intermittent
somewhere
fasting.
In the world.
Yep.
And his Transform crushed it. It was a really good program that worked well for people.
If they stuck to it, right.
But then all the time you'd see guys and girls that would do that challenge for the 3 weeks or however long weeks it was, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
I think it was 12 weeks. That was part of the problem.
So you do your 12 weeks and you maybe even make it all the way to 12 weeks, which is fucking tough.
Which means you probably won.
Maybe they did, and then they crushed it. So like a good example, we did one where everybody put $100 in a pot, and then Justin won. I had second place.
Yep.
Justin won it. But the way Justin won it, the last 2 weeks, he didn't eat for 4 days in a row.
That was crazy.
On 2 of those weeks.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, you're literally starving yourself to
literally.
death. That's maybe not a good choice.
No.
And then he got super fat.
And
like
it yo-yos
2 months
back.
later.
Right. Because you didn't make a significant and obviously that's what we preach is make a significant lifestyle change versus a short-term, maybe more severe change. I go for the long-term, less severe and building up in severity, right? So like if you just start kind of doing, maybe I'm just not eating processed food and then you're cutting out dairy, then you could go crazy with that stuff.
And I think
or you could start crazy. I like building up to it.
And I think that doing the challenge as a challenge is not such a bad idea. It's more important the taper after, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
That's how the best way to put that, right? It's like you taper back into having normal stuff.
Yep.
But you keep some of those good habits. So maybe you're not doing the Warrior Diet anymore, but you still skip breakfast.
Build on your 30 days, some of your habits.
Like that.
Right.
Yeah, and you get used to, the biggest reason the Warrior Diet works is because you can only consume so many calories in 4 hours.
Right.
You can pretty much eat anything you want in that 4 hours because any excess calories you're going to poop out anyway. Yep. And then during the rest of the time, your body's starving.
Yeah.
And so therefore it's using that and it's turning that fuel. So like that makes it effective, but that's definitely not going to be for everybody.
Right.
Like I know
there's lots of things. There's tons of them out there.
Yeah. So pick one though.
Yep.
Even like if you're going to do like a Weight Watchers is like big and famous of the older ladies and works. So how does it work? By tracking calories. That's all they're really doing.
Yep.
All their Weight
calorie
Watchers
counting.
Just calorie counting.
And they sell the food, right? I don't know if they still do that, but
I don't know.
They they were even in supermarkets. So you didn't have to think like, oh, is this on my list? Like that's one issue with like Whole30 or paleo diets. Like, is a garbanzo bean paleo. Fuck cares.
Yeah.
It's a vegetable. It's a whole
As long as
food.
it grows, it's okay.
You could get stupid with all the minutia of it, but where Weight Watchers I think did a really good job, and there what was the other one, Jenny Craig.
Yeah.
They made the meal for you, so you didn't even have to.
Yeah,
And then it's kind of processed food, but it's also it wasn't really processed, as processed food, right? They're not putting wheat and all that shit in there. So
I think in their case, it actually was processed.
Well,
so not a great example.
The
I think
idea,
those guys
though.
actually do a pretty bad job of that. But at least
But
it was still counting.
It was still portion
And people
control.
can still lose weight by following it. So
Yeah.
in the end, it still works.
So they were on the quantity. There's quality, quantity, and timing, right? So, however, the more of the three you pump in there, the more successful you're going to be. They went for quantity,
Yes.
which is huge. Calories in, calories out, right? Whereas Whole30 is
All about
quality, not quantity. And then something like the Warrior Diet is
only timing.
Is timing, quality,
Not necessarily.
and it's automatically if you follow it correctly, you're supposed to eat all your vegetables.
Okay.
So it's calorie count. It's macros really without doing macros. But you're supposed to eat all your vegetables, then all of your protein, and then whatever the hell else you want, the fat and you could eat processed food, but assuming you ate the correct
X
portion,
amount of this and X amount of that first.
The bad stuff's gonna be very small. And obviously if you cut that out. So they had portion control. It's mostly portion control because you're intermittent fasting, and you can only eat so much.
Yeah.
So it's huge portion control and starting to introduce you to quality. And then you get into the more like keto, intermittent fasting with keto. That's going to be quality, quantity, right? Because now you're cutting out anything processed.
So,
but there's tons of information out there. That's the big thing.
That's where I was about to go.
And that's where we're at now. It's December 1st today.
All of those are options, and there's literally thousands of diet challenges and options and stuff out there. And if you're a competitive person, you can get one online that you put money in and you're competing against people.
Yeah.
Or you find local ones that do it.
Yeah, that's good. Put money, a lot of people. So it depends. All these things depend on what type of personality you have. Like, am I the guy that does like, I'm just going to start eating cleaner and watching my calories. If that works for me, okay. But other people, that doesn't work for them. They have to be like all in, 100%. I'm going to eat 10 minutes a day. I'm eating 6 meals, and I'm only going to eat these 5 things: broccoli and chicken, and they're good with that. And if you add any complexity beyond that, they're screwed. Yep. But that works for them. That's fine. So you got to kind of figure out what kind of person you are, and most people have tried something, right?
Yeah. So, but the moral of the story to end this off is for both health and like for your nutrition and for your fitness, think about it now. Yeah. Come up with an actionable plan now, like between now and
next
January
2 weeks.
1st. If you're going to wait till January 1st to start, which we talked about last week, that not being the best choice, but a lot of people still will.
Yep.
So if you're going to wait till January 1st to start, make sure you at least are going in with a full plan that you can execute.
Yeah, like the next 2 weeks, review stuff, right? Review things, options. You can watch some YouTube videos on all of that stuff. You watch CrossFit videos, yoga videos. You can watch.
I think there's a whole bunch of podcasts.
There might be some podcasts. Watch all of our videos first. Like, subscribe.
All of them.
Buy the t-shirts.
Watch them multiple times.
But yeah, take a couple weeks and just in your leisure time, like a couple 10 minutes here and there, just to kind of review stuff, figure out what you want to do. And then when you're coming up to that week between Christmas and New Year's is a good time where that's right after Christmas is when you're going to go shopping. So you got to know what you're going to do for your diet. Even if you're going to join a gym that has a diet plan, you still should educate yourself a little bit.
So you know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's going to be way easier for you and way easier for the person that the coach you're talking to help you out, right?
Okay, final thing to say, though. If you are going to do a nutrition challenge and put money in or anything on it, the more festively plump you get between now and January 1st, the better your chances. Peace out, guys. Have a good one.
It's true.